MTN FA Cup. King Faisal, they want to do a Wigan, right? Which is that they want to be relegated from the Premier League and win the FA Cup. They've qualified for the MTN FA Cup final, but there are a few paces of the relegation zone. We look at their chances of both. As Godwin Ablode, their assistant manager, is touting their credentials as well. So that will be in the FA Cup. Then we look at Ghanaians abroad, the staple for every week. This week, one argument is coming up that the beloved Jordan Ayew, of one of the members of the panel, is going to be knocked off his effing perch this week. We might see Jordan knocked off his perch. In fact, there's a player who is coming in front. Well, there he is, Jordan's official spokesman. There is a player in France who seems statistically to be doing better than Jordan. We mount a defense and we see if indeed that is the case. Plus, we go to Europe where Barcelona are winning or have won their first title. Laporta dancing, Azonto, Shoki, break dancing, and all the other stuff as well. And Messi getting people chanting his name today outside the Barca training facilities. Do they want him that badly? And is it possible? We'll touch on that. And in the Premier League, of course, we will look at the top 4 race. We'll look at the relegation race as well. Get away. Get away. Get away. And we look at Manchester City as well. That is all we will touch on. It's all here on the Sports Zone, proudly brought to you by Hunters. And today we have a new sponsor. How are we welcoming Syntex? Syntex, what are we giving them? We are giving them a Sports Zone welcome. Yeah, yeah. We are welcoming Syntex tanks onto the show. Tough. And of course, Hunters from Casa Preco. We'll be back after this break. This is Sports Zone. Get your phones ready. Let's get you texting this hashtag is Sports Zone on Twitter. We are there at Joy Sports GH. You know the number as well. Let me get it for you. It's still 055 157 5757. 055 157 5757. Danny, Sicho are here. Get texting all these topics. Don't touch on that team who are second in the Premier League. I won't read it. We're back. 6 minutes after 9. Packed show here on Sports Zone, proudly brought to you by Syntex Air. Tough, we welcome them. And of course, Hunters. Introducing Hunters Red Apple Cider, a crisp and refreshing beverage that's perfect for any occasion. Made from hand-picked apples and crafted using traditional techniques, Hunters Real Apple Cider is bursting with natural apple flavors and a hint of sweetness. Unlike other ciders, Hunters Red Apple is made from 100% pure apple juice, and there's no added sugar or artificial flavoring. You can get it at any of your favorite mart supermarkets and also market centers. It's another quality product from Casa Preco. For bulk purchase, please call 0262 351 251. That's 0262 351 251. And WhatsApp number, like I said, is 055 157 5757. What do you think is going to happen in the Premier League in the coming season? This season seems quite done and dusted. Man City are done. City, for all intents and purposes, next week by this time, they would have won their 5th title in 6 seasons. Is it a Farmers League? And really, should anybody bother next season? There's an argument that there'll be Liverpool staging a comeback. They are the only ones who have broken the monopoly. There's an argument that Arsenal can learn from their lessons. Ian Wright was suggesting today that last season they dropped points against Newcastle when it was crucial. This season they rectify that error, and next season they could build on that if there's enough mental fortitude among the players. Will that be possible? Should we be expecting Chelsea to be doing something special? Should we expect anything from Manchester United at all next season? The answer may be lying in your tweets at Sports Zone and hashtag Sports Zone, and the phone number that I gave. That's it on the screen. 055 157 5757. Introducing Danny.
What's up?
Charlie, I'll be cool, bro. Charlie. So Danny is feeling very, very smug. he's feeling very smug because he predicted, he did his oracle things again. This weekend, he brought back a tweet where he had predicted about 3 weeks ago or a month ago that City, by the time they will play Chelsea, it will be time for them to win the Premier League, and they would actually win it against Chelsea. And as we can see from the table and all that, that's what so he's feeling really cool.
Because my God doesn't wear flip-flops.
My
God is alive.
But what does he wear? Crocs? So your God does not wear chalote?
No, at all.
Don't worry, the market men will let them hear. And also, Sichope is joining us, Philippa Trim. Hi.
We've mastered the craft.
Sichope.
Solid.
His government's name is Philippa Trim, but his native name is Sichope.
Correct one.
That's right. Charlie, how's the weekend?
I did for you.
Yeah. I paid attention to your space a bit this morning as well. And some of the things you also said seem to be coming to pass, especially in Serie A and even in the Premier League. We are going to touch on that. He reckons that next season we might see the return of the kings of the Premier League. We'll do that pretty shortly. Karim also is coming. But first of all, let's start in Ghana, because the Ghana Women's Premier League had a really, really fantastic finale. The Ghana Football Association has made women's football one of its prime stuff, and the Malta Guinness involvement has taken things up a notch. Here, you see at the Dr. Kwame Kyei complex, Ampem Darko and Hazakets ladies. For the last 5 years, it's been those two teams who've been ruling Ghana women's football. Keto Kreku giving us the ceremonial kickoff, and here are the highlights. Yeah, they had to go all the way. Hazakets ladies, of course, in the unmistakable green. Danny, quickly, you and Sicho, maybe you want to run us through why this game was significant?
Look, Gary, I'm very happy. I'm happy Ampem Darko won. I'm happy with how the game went. It went all the way to penalties. And it just shows that the gap is slowly closing. And it's a good thing for women's football. When you start, you always need a powerhouse to sort of lead the way for the others to follow. Slowly, Ampem Darko are coming back. Last season, they've won again. And it just shows you that, as I said, the gap is closing. And it's always very important for any thriving league to have at least two top teams that are leading the way. If you look at their respective zones, they were all pushed down to the wire. Was it Hazakets ladies were pushed down to the wire by Faith ladies? So even in their respective zones, we see that the gap is closing. And it just helps the general development of women's football in this country. We know that a chunk of our players, when it comes to the youth teams, under 17, under 20, are churned out of some of these teams. So it's very important when the standards are increasingly becoming better, because it will tell on the quality of players that come out or come through to the national team. So I'm really happy. It's not like I'm sitting here. I'm a fan of either of the teams. I'm a fan of women's football. I'm a fan of football in this country, and we all want the best. And when you see that the gap is closing, it's getting more interesting, it's getting more intense, the quality of players is high, it just makes you very happy, and you can tell that improvement is being done, and you have to commend not just the management of women's football in this country, but the GFA also. You mentioned that they've given a lot of attention to women's football this season. The sponsors who have come on board have done a very good job of trying to promote it, trying to take it to the next level. And clearly, by virtue of what we've seen this season, we can see that the women's football, the Ghana Women's Premier League, has moved on to a different level. Nice one.
One of the things that the sponsors have done is they have a WhatsApp group. At the start of the season, they created a WhatsApp group where essentially it was the crucible of information for everyone. So even if you are a sports editor or a news person, and they looked at, certain people across the country who could propagate the gospel of women's football. Even if you didn't understand the information, they were putting the information there for you to show it on TV. And they made it accessible. The games are streamed live. Almost all the games were streamed live. When you went to the league centers, there was activations as well. And we did that bit at Multimedia. We gave Malta Guinness free airtime when they wore their kits at the start of the season. They brought their bottles and stuff like that. I mean, it was a one-off, two-off, but we like to think that it's something. And if you look at the kind of support they even got from the broadcast partners, Max TV as well, it goes to show that it's not but I would hazard a guess and say that pound for pound, CD for CD, dollar for dollar, if you compare what women's football was given versus the Ghana Premier League, they probably did a better job of giving themselves mileage.
Absolutely. I think the Women's Premier League, if you compare, as you said, if you're comparing the two per what they get, I think the Women's Premier League have done better than the Ghana Premier League. I mean, it doesn't have too many controversies about it. The games are played on schedule. We don't hear, all the things we hear about men's football. It's better promoted. And it's shocking, really, because and even visibility for their sponsors, the branding is crucial. And even for this, and that's why when Danny mentioned that credit to the FA, they deserve that due, because the organization of the committee, I think they have the best formats in the country for football.
Yeah.
The fact that they've been split into the northern and the southern zone, it creates, that climax that you're looking for. It's not as if a team is going to win the league by some 5 or 4 games to go. Whatever happens, there's going to be that one fixture that decides the league title. Then that in itself creates the climax that everybody's looking for. And that was the game that we saw. They bussed students to the venue so that they could go and watch the game for free. The sponsors were there to give them free drinks as well. And having said all of that, the quality of football on the day was quite surprising because it was very good.
Yeah.
Normally we can say, oh, they've done what they've done, but the most important thing is that we have our girls playing some very good football. And on the day we saw good football. And these two sides over the years have shown that they are the two big clubs.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be very hard on Hazakkes because between them and Ampem-Dankwa, it's Hazakkes. But the last 2 years, or this year, last year, Ampem-Dankwa have shown that, hang on a minute, Hazakkes might not be the biggest team in Ghana now. It probably is them. And they'll go back to Africa and maybe from the experience they got the last time, they can do better, go past Wafu and go to the Champions League. So I thoroughly enjoyed what the competition has brought, and I'm happy for the ladies and the GFA.
Okay, so Sicho, with that assessment of the Women's Premier League. Now, what next, you may ask? Title won, the relegation also sorted. Next is a concerted effort to support Ampem-Dankwa when they go to Wafu, because last time they went there as Ghanaian champions, they were unable to, like Sicho said, go to the CAF Women's Champions League, which has fantastic visibility, and it's a great, great, great place to market your players. We saw what happened with Hazakkes ladies 2 seasons ago. So this is Sports Zone, wrapping up on the Women's Premier League. If for any reason you are to leave us and get off your TV, we are streaming on Joy Prime TV on YouTube now, so you can watch the show there. Joy Prime TV, we are streaming there now as well. So it was a busy weekend for the GFA in terms of climaxes and finales, because the MTN FA Cup is at the business end. And MTN also separately, it must be said, give themselves a lot of time alone when it comes to their publicity. They handle it separately from the GFA, and so you see that the FA Cup has a lot of visibility. King Faisal and Nswachiman were on. They sold us quite a good...
Last season, they were knocking, they were pushing. Dreams were in the semis. King Faisal were in the quarters, and now they are in the final. But it's the quality of football that I enjoyed.
Sure, and no... I mean, we have to also mention that the playing surface contributed to the good football we saw.
I was absolutely going to say that.
You were landing into that.
When we speak about, and even for the women's game.
You saw it.
And so when
the ball day ground.
Yeah, when we always say the Ghana Premier League is not exciting to watch, we don't have quality players, the football is boring. I've always told people, I've been lucky enough to travel around the country to watch these players. It's not necessarily for the lack of quality. It is the lack of, the tools, the structures, the platform to get them exhibiting their talents. And when they've had these platforms, we've seen them. Some of the best games that have been played in the Ghana Premier League are normally at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium.
Yeah.
When Kotoko play in the evening games, because the temperature is perfect, the pitch is a lot better. It's the best pitch we've got, maybe about this, in the country. So the games are beautiful. So many people thought Ogun's Kotoko played by far the best football when he was there. And one thing that aided that was because of the surface they were playing on.
Yeah.
And
the MTN FA Cup, like you say, and it was, that spirit was really illustrated. It was highlighted. It was brought to the fore when in that game you saw, you noticed from the highlights that Nswachiman took a comfortable lead, as it was in the end. And then at halftime, our own Jose Mourinho, he did this.
Chief, West Chief. Chief, West Chief. The two of you. We have to shout for you. China, stay on the line. Stay on the line. You're not checking your back. China, why are you not talking to China? Talk. The two of them talk. The guy is coming. Where is China? This is the guy. China, you are going with him. Stay with the line. Put him offside. Is that not? Just put him offside. And we are fine. Hello? Hi. Am I making sense? Yes. Huh? Yes. Okay. How do we build up? We are like this. Who is this one? You have
Hello. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi.
No, I love this.
Yeah, man.
And more of this content.
Yeah,
I
we
love
want
this.
more of this. We want more of this content.
Absolutely.
I don't know who recorded this and put it out, but Charlie, look, Steven Zando, shout out to our man, Love
Steven
FM.
Zando, great.
Steven Zando.
Yeah.
Premier League is bringing Mike. Today I was watching Michael Owen and Howard Webb. You know, they are introducing a show that is going to show us what happens after the games in terms of the microphone communication between the refs, the players, the VR official, the assistant VR official.
Interesting stuff.
And stuff. It's a whole package show. So you are going to see the behind, like wild. I mean, let's have more of this content. You know, NBA is going to the touchline in South America at halftime. Before the game starts, they go into the dressing room and talk to the players. At halftime, they go there. So they always have.
I mean, Amazon Prime is spending money to produce this. We're having it for free.
We're having it for free.
Amazon Prime gets it to Atetas, and Atetas play You Never Walk Alone at Training House. That's why we're having it for free in the dressing room with Coach Ignatius.
More of this. So Dreams FC versus King Faisal in the finale. We can't wait. And MTN FA Cup action will be back pretty shortly, even as the Ghana Premier League is also winding down. All right. So just as we were speaking, Karim Benin has walked into the studio. He's walked into the studio with a turtleneck. You know a turtleneck?
It's fresh from the runway.
Fresh from the runway. He just landed from the Republic of OSF.
No, he went to Milan, some fashion show in Milan.
Ah, the Milan Fashion Week. Right. So he's here with us today.
Fresh boy Karim.
Fresh boy, no pimple. He's got the Ghanaians abroad coming. But don't forget that this show is brought to you by Syntex Tanks. A strong, a tough. First time joining us on the show. Thank you for joining the Sports Zone and the Joy Sports Family Syntex Tank. Also by Hunter's Red apple cider. You know it's the best on the market. It's the crispest, the freshest source from the fresh apples and traditionally treated. Right? And that is it. You can get it courtesy of Casapreco. 0262 351 251. 0262 351 251. Ghanaians abroad.
Sweet Karim.
Ghanaians abroad.
Sweet Karim.
There he is. In a turtleneck. Charlie.
Straight from Milan.
You know, today's been raining.
Yeah, he was sitting by Kim Kardashian.
Oh, you are joking?
Oh, yeah, he was sitting. I'll show you the picture.
Charlie. Hey, Karim. Starboy. Make we sit up small. Anyway, Ghanaians have been busy as the season
is winding down.
It's winding down. The highlights, of course, is that some of our star boys have been relegated.
Yeah.
And it's not very good news.
Bad news.
Please take it away.
Okay, last week the issue we had was that we didn't see a lot of tough performances from the big leagues. But this past weekend we've seen like overall everywhere, MLS, China. We have one Chinese.
Even in China?
Yes, we have Frank Achampong here representing China. We have Kojo Poku representing the MLS. Overall, we have players from everywhere.
But the way you monitor players, you are monitoring them in China and the US, even space.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere you go. Even space. Oh no, it's big man.
Incredible job, man.
Okay, this is the team. We have Razak Abalora in goal. He kept his 6th clean sheet in 9 games. He's conceded only 3 goals in those 9 games. His side, FC Sheriff, they beat St. George 2-0 away from home. And
that was in Moldova?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So we have Nathaniel Ajay. He was very fantastic at right back for Hammarby in their 4-3 win over Jagarin. Then he scored a fabulous goal there. Then we have Samson Beidou. He made his first ever start for Real Salzburg in the Austrian league. They won 1-0 against Lask Linz. He completed 4 out of 5 tackles in that game. Then we have Emmanuel in team. Both centre backs are first-time players in the Sports Zone Ghanaian players abroad. He has been fabulous for Caen in their 4-2 win over Nîmes in the French League 2. He's completed the most tackles for a player to play 45 plus minutes in that game. And
sorry, repeat that. He's done what?
He's completed the most accurate passes for a player to play 45 minutes or more in that game. That's 69 out of 75, about 92-93%. Then Gideon Mensah, his side, Ejo they lost at Brestois 1-0, but absolutely he was fantastic. For both defense and attack, he created 2 chances there and 2 tackles out of 2 in that game. Then,
so let me ask you about Gideon Mensah. I mean, we know what happened.
Yeah.
You know, Ghanaians have been on his neck for a while now. Those who have not been watching him, how is he progressing and coming back?
Basically, since he's gone back, he has been doing really well. For the past 3 games, he's been fantastic for them. As they are trying to survive relegation, they're only 1 point, I think, above the drop zone. And they've been doing fantastic in the past 3 games. He's had a small injury issue, but doing really good there. Then we have Baba Idrisu. He was in action for Mallorca in their 1-0 win over Cadiz. Then he's played as a centre-back in a 3-back system there. But basically, we know him. He can do the job really here. When you don't ask him to move forward, he can just clean up what's needed there. Then we have Salis Abdul Samad, his side, Lens. They've beaten Lyon, Reims by 2-1. Then in that game, he's completed 13 ball recoveries there. It's very safe for them at the middle of the park. Then we are coming to Frank Achampon, his side. Yes, his side, Shenzhen. Yes, at the start of the season, they won only 1 game. And up to now, in the past 5 games, they've drawn only once and lost the previous, the other 4. So coming into the game against Dalian Pro, he basically needed to step up for them, and he did that really to perfection. They were down at about getting to 42 minutes at halftime. Then he popped up with a very beautiful equalizer, and that's in the 42nd minute going into halftime. Then going again to the 90th plus 2. I don't know what's really between him and 2. In the 90 plus 2, then he scored the winner for them again. Jordan Ayew, he has been beautiful since since Roy Hodgson came in. He's given a back heel of an assist, contributing the most goals since Roy Hodgson came in. He's completed the most dribbles in that game, 3 out of 3. Then in terms of most fouled player, he's also fouled 3 times in that game, and also the most accurate pass of the ball to play either 45 or more, completing 28 out of 30, giving him about 92%.
Nah, Jordan didn't play.
No, see, and he's doing 92% in an offensive position. If you check the numbers, the further you are, the more difficult it is to complete passes.
You could have.
But Jordan is doing 92%.
You could have.
See, mostly goalkeepers and centre backs.
Could have.
Because it's safe.
Could have.
3 out of 3 dribbles. Most foul player. Accurate passes.
Accurate assists.
This now for viewers, let me just chip this in. If I told you that this man has not spoken to Jordan Ayew one-on-one before, you won't believe it. If I told you that this man has not spoken, Jordan has not even spoken, they've not spoken before. Anyway.
See the wallpaper. So sweet. I think we are playing it. See the wallpaper.
No, can we? Who confused you?
See the wallpaper. What size Jordan?
Oh, it's off.
What size Jordan?
Last time when he was showing us the text between him and Erling, he calls him Erling, we call him Haaland.
Yeah.
I mean, Erling calls him Danny.
Yeah.
Jordan was in the background as his wallpaper and also what.
Anyway, finish this with it.
Then let's go to the MLS side of the Sports Zone Ghanaian players abroad. We have Kojo Opoku, a 21-year-old brilliant chap, very good with his paces, good with the ball at his feet, completed 3 out of 3 dribbles in that game, scored a fabulous goal, took the ball down from the air in his strides, one-time shot, scored the opener for Los Angeles Lakers in their 3-0 win over Real Salt Lake. Then the guy we are going to focus on this evening, Grijon Che, he was the man of the moment when Clermont Foot, they won 2-1 against Lyon in the French League 1, scored an opener through a penalty, then a very towering header for them to win the game for them. So basically, he was born in Gonesse in France in 1995, 27 years at the moment, and he's a striker, current team Lyon, Clermont Foot. Then this season, this is what he's done for Clermont Foot in the French Ligue 1. 32 games played, started 23 34 of those, then played about 2,000 minutes, 9 goals, then 3 assists.
So he's the one who we understand is probably going to take Jordan out of the Blacks.
Possibly.
No, out of the starting lineup.
Possibly.
Now, you take us to that statistics.
So, basically, these are the key metrics for him. He's averaging a goal every 223 minutes, 21 shots on target, 12 chances created, 1.7 shots per game. Basically, this is the key area.
So this is how Great John Che, born in Gonesse,
yes,
is comparing with Jordan Ayew and Inaki Williams.
So
let's go.
When you're talking about goal ratio, goals they've scored per 90 minutes, he's averaging 0.5 per 90 minutes. That's more than both Jordan Ayew, who is having just 0.2, and Inaki Williams, who is having 0.4. When you're talking about shot conversion rate, he's having 23% shot conversion rate. Jordan Ayew follows him with 21%, then Inaki Williams with 16%. Talking about shots he's attempted per 90 minutes, he's attempting 1.7 shots per game every 90 minutes. Then Jordan Ayew he's more having one more than Jordan Ayew, who is on 0.7. Then Inaki Williams is above him here, 0.2. Then when we are talking about shots on target per goal, he's having 1. That's more than Jordan Ayew, 0.4. Then Inaki Williams, they are on the same level. So basically, when you are looking at it, he's a player that maybe have similar attributes to Jordan Ayew, but not as a playmaker. He's basically that kind of box player who is very good in the air, and he was born in France. He's played just one for the under-21 side, and after that, he's not played for.
Do we know if he's interested at all in playing for Ghana?
Even when he got that call-up in 2015, he still opened the doors to Ghana. When the BBC interviewed him, he said he's open for Ghana. No one has contacted him. If they contact him, he's open to play for Ghana. And now that he's not played for them, up to this point, he's still interested. So
Great John Che, keep that name. Chairman, Jordan Ayew has been usurped according to the science and data.
He has not, according to the science and data. Some of these numbers. No, you see, I thank God for Great John's life. And we thank God that Great John is on form. But you see, some of these stats are also, they have to relate with the positions that the player will play. Absolutely. He's a center forward.
Yes.
Obviously, he's going to get more shots. If you are attempting more shots, the chances are you have a higher conversion rate than somebody who is not. So some of these numbers, I perfectly understand. But the thing I have a problem with, you see, we've been doing this thing. And I'm not one, I don't like pitting players against each other. I've said it several times. Sure. But when you pick your stats from Sweden and Denmark and Co, and even the French league, and you come and compare to somebody who is playing week in, week out in the Premier League, it can be a bit unfair.
True.
Because I've been saying this thing for a very long time. The Premier League is top. La Liga, top. So when you pick Inaki and Jordan, who are playing week in, week against the best players in the world, it is kind of unfair to go and pick somebody from Clermont Foot and say by virtue of numbers ABC, you are doing better. Because we've seen a certain young man who came from the French league, and he's had 1 assist in January, February, March, April, May, 5 months.
Plenty energy.
And he has energy. This time he's sitting on the bench and his team has been relegated. It's different too. The playing ground is not the same.
It's a simple case of sometimes weighted averages and
thank you
and all that.
But the bottom line is stats doesn't always tell the
we need the eye test as well.
Yeah,
so this is Sports Zone. This is our team of the week. Karim, thank you very, very much for your service to Mother Ghana. We thank you for your service to Mother Ghana. God bless you and keep you, and may Ghana.
But if the players come down, if I can see you.
In work. Now, we can't do this show without getting your messages, all right? So let me go through a slew of them before we move on to the next thing. Joga says, you guys are doing a massive work. My first time of watching this show. I really like the show. Concerning EPL next season, Man United will take the title. This one says, Gary, did Danny K. Haaland yesterday from Mutala? He said, I heard Arsenal fans are going to Chelsea fans and thumbs up to the stadium where the women played their final from Mutala. I think he's talking about the Women's FA Cup at Wembley, where Sam Kerr chose a moment and she did what Sam Kerr does all the time. Elvis from Asamankes says, with Pochettino, we are going to see a new Chelsea in the coming season. So that's his take on who will do well next season as well. Roland Vaxbone inside Control Market says, I'd like to know if any of these two teams going to the MTN FA Cup has the resources to represent Ghana in Africa. That's King Faisal and Dreams FC.
That's another 1 hour show.
That's another 1 hour show, which we do have time for. But my first answer is no. Good evening, Gary. There's a saying that hasty climbers do not have a sudden fall. You get it. Kelwini inside Doma West. I think he's talking about Arsenal. Fire burn you. This is Rankin from Kasua. I think that the influence of Pep in modern day football is priceless, and it's only a matter of time the gods of football will reward him with another Champions League trophy. He's not only winning on the field of play, he's bringing a lot of diversity and tactics, and he's improving a lot of players. He's a football map, I tell you. This is from Rankin in Kasua. That's a very interesting message. I'm called Eben from Peje. I just want to tell Danny that Madrid will beat Manchester City and qualify for the Champions League final. Hala Madrid.
That's my hometown, man.
Now, you're from Peje.
Peje, man. Yeah.
Hi, good evening. Man City is winning the Champions League. I'm Eric Kofi Opon Jr. I'm watching you live from Cape Coast, Jukwa. Good evening, Gary. Please, I wanted coach to come and tell us City will struggle in the remaining matches. Jara from Tamale. Malonzi says City will win the league against Chelsea. We'll say City. Now, you guys have a serious belief in City now. And I have to give Pep Guardiola and the City organization the kind of, belief that they have instilled in people. Mm-hmm. But we'll come to the Champions League pretty shortly and whether they can do the business as well. We're not going for a commercial break now, but we'll go to the Premier League. So Manchester City, you've heard people, I've read about 8 messages. The bulk of them believe that City, the league is a done deal. But what about the Champions League? What do you think of how they are translating their form? They could beat their own record of 14 consecutive wins in the Premier League, but can they do it in a cold Tuesday or Wednesday night in the Champions League? Sicho.
The Champions League is a different ball game. It's a different ball game altogether, and we saw it in that first leg against Real Madrid, or even at some time or some point in the game against Bayern Munich.
So before you go on, what do you see is not the Champions League, of course, it's the Premier League. Gundogan, who is an expert at doing the business when it is most difficult, showed his class again with 2 goals and an assist in their 3-0 win against Everton. Sicho.
Yeah. And like when you watch City in the Premier League, when they get to the Champions League against these tough opponents, Real Madrid, in the game against Bayern Munich, we saw it as well in phases of it. That even though they had a lot of the ball, they didn't necessarily create, an array of chances. And we saw that at the Bernabeu. So the Champions League is a different ball game altogether, and they play against Real Madrid. So we cannot use City's dominance in the Premier League to speculate what they would look like in the Champions League. And we saw it. If you're following what they are doing in the Premier League, then there is no way that game should have been a draw against Real Madrid. Because Real Madrid in La Liga this season, per their own standards, have been poor. They've been nowhere near this Barca side that have had all the problems they've had. But when they play the Champions League, it's a different ball game. And the same for City. They've been blowing teams away, especially after the World Cup in the Premier League. But in the Champions League, in the game against Madrid, they look like they were frightened a bit. They didn't play with the freedom that we've seen them play with. They were not going through taking the risks that they would normally take, because that is the Champions League. So, I get what people say, that, it's City, they are playing well, they'll win the Champions, but it's not that simple in that competition.
Interesting. We'll be letting you know where you can join us for our Champions League coverage in English language in Ghana. Joy is the official rights holder. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll be in town somewhere, but we'll talk about that pretty shortly. Tajuddin from Sawaba in Tamale says, as for Arsenal, the least said about them, the best. That's what he says. The least said about them, the best. I was tempting that they could win, but as is the usual of them, Danny, I didn't want us to, but my producer says that if I don't, you get me out of the show. So
I'm going to shock the world. But if I was an Arsenal fan, I'll be happy. What has happened this season? It's good. You see, I said it from the beginning, the league, you win. It doesn't matter. But this Arsenal team has overachieved by challenging Manchester City for the title this particular season. If you are talking about progress, I don't think I've seen sustained progress from an individual club. Put Manchester City aside, they are there.
They are outliers.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can go from the top number 1 to.
Yeah.
So they are there. But by Manchester City, I think Arsenal have had the most sustained progress since Arteta came. I will still maintain that from the beginning, I feel like if Arsenal went with a more experienced manager, they would have reached where they want to reach by this time. But it doesn't take anything away from Arteta. I think he's done a brilliant job. First season, he comes in, they finish 8th with 56 points. But that was halfway through the season. His first full season, he finished 8th again, but this time with 61 points. That's his improvement in terms of points. He goes to 5th, that was last season, with 69 points. And this season, they currently have 81 points. If they win the rest of their 2 games, it takes them to 87. Now, it's different. There are 2 types of improvements. There's the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer type of improvement where you are 3rd this season with, let's say, 70 points. Yeah. And then you are 2nd the following season with 70 points, and you are happy. You've improved in terms of position, but you've not made any significant progress in terms of points accumulation. And the points accumulation, it comes in groups in different thresholds. So if you see somebody's points accumulation at the end of the season, you can tell in an average season where the team could have finished. And that is where I think Arsenal is doing good. When you look at this current Arsenal team, I said at the beginning of the season, I said midway through the season, even when they were in the lead, this is not a bad team. The only reason why personally I think Arsenal didn't win the league is the serious lack of experience. From the manager to the playing body. They have not been in this situation before. So it is different when the team is inexperienced and the manager is experienced and he knows how to navigate the situation. Yeah. This time around, the manager himself has not been in this situation before. You might mention he was on the bench with Pep Guardiola, but the pressure wasn't on him.
It's different. Yeah.
It's different.
He doesn't make the calls.
He doesn't make the big calls. This time around, he's in the driving seat. He needs to make the big calls. And it's completely different from then and now. So I perfectly understood. And when you have a team as consistent as Manchester City, breathing down your neck, you have to be perfect. And it takes a certain level of experience and excellence to be perfect. Arsenal, an excellent team, but they are an inexperienced team. And that's what let them down. Look, for me, I feel they lost by fine margins. And the first one that comes to me was inadequate plan Bs in very critical areas. Yeah. So you look at when Saliba got injured. This machine, this system was working perfectly.
Perfectly.
In January, I commended them for buying Jorginho because the most crucial part of the team for me was that pivot. When Partey got injured, we've seen it since Arteta came. They crumbled. So he brings in Jorginho just to fix it. And they are 2 similar players, but they also have their different styles. If Partey is not there, Jorginho comes, the job will still be done. But when Saliba got injured, what we saw was the differences in profile between himself and the guy who was coming in for him. Yeah. Rob Holding is not a bad player. But in this system, in this machine, the guy who is supposed to complement Gabriel, they are 2 completely different players. Gabriel now had to try to think for Rob Holding because they've not played together too many times. Rob Holding, I'm saying he's not a bad player, but in the machine that they find themselves in, he's not the right fit. And the painful thing was for Arsenal too was Tomiyasu's injury. Yeah. Because if Tomiyasu wasn't injured, Ben White could have come to play centre-back. Yeah. Because Ben White is also very strong. He's also very comfortable on the ball. And he's assured in that position. He's played it several times. So they still would have been able to maintain that. Tomiyasu arrived back for Arsenal. You saw him last season. He's brilliant. So I don't think it would have affected them that much. But those 2 injuries to Saliba and Tomiyasu really undid the team. Now, Arsenal averaged, in terms of conceding goals, 1.8 since Saliba got injured. Yeah. And that's basically 2 games. Yeah. So what it means is that Arsenal now needed to score more than 2 goals to win a game. Yeah. If you're not scoring 3, they are not winning a game.
And also let's mention that in the 27 games that he had been available, they had 0 point something concession rate, and In the 9 games he's not been available, they've considered this 1.8.
Yeah.
So there's a serious, it just shows you the impact of Saliba's injury on that team. And when these things happen,
Probably also means it doesn't only affect the back line, maybe it affects how the midfield also thinks.
exactly.
And something that came out yesterday as well, apparently, the defense don't trust Holding.
And,
Yeah.
and you can't blame them.
And it's not trust us in, but trust us in the system that
The
they
system,
play.
yeah.
So when the keeper even gets when Ramsdale gets the ball,
The behavior of the team changes
because he's literally thinking, should I pass the ball to Holding? And Holding is like, pass it to me, don't pass it to me, pass it to me.
Yeah.
You know, and you have that. Now, even Jorginho,
Yeah.
to that side, to Thomas Partey, because at the back, when Saliba was there, they knew that it was sorted.
Yeah.
Partey knew that
offensive.
he was
That's
So
what
the,
you need to
the
think
effects
about.
just runs across the whole team.
cascades.
Yeah.
And you see, when you think about what has happened with the Saliba situation and Arsenal conceding these many goals, then you start thinking about the fine margins. And you see, I always say, some people may think that it's trivial, but it's so important. In 2012, when Man United lost the league to Man City on goal difference, cleverly granted an interview when he said Ferguson spoke to them about being ruthless. The importance about, look, round to the sea, just score. When you get a chance to score, because it is possible for you to lose the league on goals.
Yeah.
You had the same points, but you still lost. And when you look at the growing world of football and how data and science and everything is so intricate, fine margins, you have to look at certain decisions that Arsenal made at the start of the season. And for me, I feel that's Gabriel Jesus thing. And this is why I'm going to say this. When you look at the top 8 scorers in the Premier League top scorers chart, he's the only one who is underperforming his XG. Haaland is supposed to have scored 27 goals. He has scored 36. Kane is supposed to have scored 20 goals. He has scored 27. Salah, 19 XG, 19 goals. He's performing it.
Perfecto.
he's even added assets.
He's even added assists. Ivan Toney was supposed to have scored 18 goals. He has scored 20. Callum Wilson, 15. He has scored 17. When you look at those fine margins and you go back to certain situations in games and you just ask yourself, had Arsenal had a more prolific goal scorer to depend on in terms of goal scoring? I'm not saying Gabriel Jesus is a bad player.
Yeah.
Because we saw in pre-season when he came first, Arteta was experimenting him with Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah.
So he was playing the football, getting the team to tick, but he wasn't necessarily given the burden of goal scoring. But I knew it would come back to haunt them.
Yeah.
Because at this point in the season, you need somebody you can depend
Who
on.
just finished the
Who just
chances
finished
off.
it, who is ruthless.
Yeah.
Look at that Southampton game.
Yeah.
Arsenal didn't have to lose
And
that
then the
game.
2 draws after.
The 2 draws after. The West Ham game. You can go back to even the Southampton game that you drew at the St. Mary's. These fine margins. And it's about decisions.
To buttress what you say, some of the, and I know Arsenal fans might remember, I'll go back to it, some of the best spell for Arsenal this season, fortunately or unfortunately, happened when Gabriel Jesus was injured.
When Nketiah was...
And I remember I said it here that Gabriel Jesus is a good footballer. He makes others around him play better.
Yeah.
But when you're looking for a more assured number 9 in the box, I prefer Eddie Nketiah.
Sure.
They are 2 different players. The manager can decide who to use for different things. But if you need somebody to stick the ball into the back of the net with surety, I'm also going to look towards Eddie Nketiah. I'm not saying he's an elite striker, but when you need a number 9 in that Arsenal team, between him and Gabriel, I always thought it was Eddie, even though Gabriel was a better footballer making others play better. And as you said, yeah.
So point well made. Broken down to support your thesis statement that Arsenal have not failed this season. This is a quite lengthy tweet from somebody who responded to. Now, this is what happened to me. Yesterday, since Arsenal lost, I didn't say one word on Twitter. I didn't say anything. 24 hours later, you know, they say when a military man slaps you, you don't feel it immediately. You feel it 24 hours later. When you call him up. So when I was getting ready for the show, and I said, hey, Arsenal. You saw my tweet.
He read pain.
So Kojo Xavier responded by saying, and this is the argument I would have posited against your feeling that Arsenal have not failed and they have done well this season. But here I said it's probably better than I can. So let me read it.
Please go on.
And give it to you. Kojo Xavier on Twitter says, it's not success to be 8 points clear, then fail to win 2 consecutive games when Arsenal were 2-0 up, go down in 10 minutes at home to the worst team in the league, get humiliated at City, and surrender in a pitiful manner to Brighton at home. It's failure, pure and simple, and Arsenal bottled it.
Look, just let me just look. The reason why I feel like this is not failure, as I said, if you look at the progression of this team and you compare, this is a team that missed out on top 4 last season.
Danny,
No. Let me.
what you are saying is
Gary,
grammar.
No, Gary.
Look,
let me land.
the
let me
point
land.
of the
No, you see,
matter is
it's
that
not magic.
At you see,
Gary, it's not
no,
magic.
let me
You
just
don't
say
jump
something.
from fifth
You see
place
the
to
arc-
first.
No, you see
when
the
Pep
arc.
Guardiola is around.
You see
when
the
Klopp
arc.
is around.
You see the arc.
Yeah.
The product life cycle.
Yeah.
When you go past the beginning, in literature they say the denouement.
Yeah.
And you are coming down, and you are finishing.
Yeah.
You are in the finishing straight. Look, I know in athletics,
but
in the most experience of athletics will give you a kick, and that's what Man City have done. I understand.
No,
You were 8 points clear.
The thing about, I understand how Arsenal fans or other fans feel when they say maybe they won't consider this season as a success. But what Danny says also very much ties into why this season could be a failure or not. And Danny has given the reasons. Maybe people have not read into the reasons. Danny has said the lack of experience from the team has come back to haunt or cost Arsenal. Because in that game against Liverpool, if Arsenal were slightly experienced at Anfield, with how poor Liverpool were in that first half and took that 2-goal lead, Arsenal probably maybe should have killed the game in that first half. They didn't. But once they scored those 2 goals, it's almost as if they panicked. Like, hey,
Yeah.
at Anfield, are we really doing this? They went on to draw that game. In the game against West Ham, Arsenal panicked again, especially after they had missed the penalty at the time. It was 2-1, and then quickly they considered to make it 2-2. Then the game against Southampton, there's pressure on them. The point that he's making is, generally, when you look at the season, it's going to be one full of disappointment. But they've come from somewhere. They were at a certain level,
Yeah.
and now Arsenal fans even had a dream of trying to win the Premier League. Months ago, no, if you told any Arsenal fan,
I mean, that's fair.
this season,
Arsenal
don't
be second.
play, you finish second, you go Champions, they'll say, we'll take it, based on where they were last season. But in the fact that this season has been so good, beyond the expectations, what gave them the belief that they could achieve something. One thing that would disappoint Arsenal fans, though, is if they take out the 2 games they lost to City, who are their competitors this season, they probably could still have won the league had they taken their chances. Had they won against West Ham, had they won against, Southampton, some of those points they dropped. In fact, had they even gone on to win against Liverpool, I know it's a difficult fixture. So that is where the inexperience comes in. But I think Arsenal fans should be careful. Danny has said that maybe next season they'll come back to compete. It's not automatic.
It's not that
Because
simple.
I think
It's not that
Liverpool will get better.
Yes, they will.
Arsenal are second in the season where Liverpool really underperformed. We are saying Arsenal overperformed, but Liverpool really underperformed. Chelsea under Pochettino, I think, will get better. I also believe Pochettino is a better manager than Arteta. And if Chelsea do give Pochettino the freedom and the free hand he needs, he probably can cook something very good for Chelsea if he's back door in the summer. Eric Ten Hag's Man United could be better than Arsenal. So it's not automatic that they missed their chance this season to win the league. And because it was progress from last season, they'll be back to this stage again. We are looking at next season being a different ball game altogether. So Arsenal fans, I get how they feel, that the season hasn't gone according to plan, but there's progress.
Right, so let's look at the table and what it all means as we bear down to possibly City wrapping it up next weekend. The top 2 was illustrated by Arsenal losing at home 3-0 to Brighton. Man City doing similar away at Everton, the 2 big ones. And then you go to the other side, Leicester City versus Liverpool. What was the score this?
I think it was 3-0.
Last time we seen it was 3-0.
The last time we checked, Liverpool were leading 3-0. Mo Salah with 2 assists the last time.
3 assists.
3 assists before I came. Okay, before we came on air. Leeds,
3-0.
Newcastle, and so on and so forth. Is the table available, please? And then we see what it means. We saw quite a number of goals. 2-2-2-2 here. City, Arsenal, Newcastle United. What a season these guys are having. But United may have something to say about that. Liverpool, Brighton, who should be in heaven by now. Spurs, Aston Villa, and so on. You go down there, Southampton with the 2 Ghana boys gone down. Leicester City with another Ghana boy could go down. Leeds United don't have a Ghana boy yet. Everton, Nottingham Forest, and so on. We have just about 4 minutes to go. Now, quickly, who's going to start first? Southampton with the Ghana boy. Salisu seems more likely that he will leave. But Kamaldeen.
I think Salisu, in terms of player development, I think he's more of the finished product. He's more ready to go back to the Premier League or maybe La Liga. We've heard a number of Spanish teams interested in him. If he gets that move, he should take it. For Kamaldeen, I think he's rushing his development a bit. I think the move to, and I agree with Cicho, the move to Southampton was a bit too rash. If I was him, I'll stay at Southampton. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with playing the Championship. The captain of the Black Stars has went down with Swansea. He played in the Championship. We've seen a number of our players play down in the Championship. The competition over there is good. It will help you grow. And the thing is, he's not the finished product yet. So it's not like he's some superstar who is playing in the Championship. Southampton are in a good position. If you look at that, it depends on who leaves and who comes. But if you're able to make your name in the Championship...
So Kamaldeen stays?
Stays.
He should stay in the Championship quickly. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for Southampton, for the club that loves to develop players in that manner, I think he should stay.
And the Championship is rigorous.
It really is.
He will finish the Championship a better rounded player.
Yeah,
but whether his young ego will take it is another matter altogether. But I can tell you for a fact that as at yesterday, Salisu, it's done and dusted. He will leave Southampton, he'll go somewhere. Anyway, Champions League is coming! Tuesday, we are at Bayview tomorrow in Medina for the Milan Derby Part 2.
Under 2.5.
Danny says so. And then we are at Oliver Twist on Wednesday. We are at Oliver Twist, on Wednesday. We are going back to Oliver Twist on Wednesday. We are not going to the other place that we said. Oliver Twist is, no, not at Honeysuckle, please. We are going to Oliver Twist at Latebi Okoshin on Wednesday. So, Champions League commentary will be on Joy FM. Tomorrow will be George Addo Jr. And myself and the rest of the team will be at Bayview at Atomic Junction, Medina. And then on Wednesday, Oliver Twist, Danny Fentu will be on commentary. I will be at Oliver Twist as well with the rest of the gang. Please join us with that. Guys, Charlie.
Man City and over 1.5.
Man City and over 1.
Madrid to go through, Inter to go through, Madrid to go through, Inter to go through, Madrid Inter final.
Madrid Inter final.
Manchester City Inter Milan final.
So Inter, both think Inter will go into the final. What do you think as well? If I can read just one or two comments from you, I know my time is spent. Rita says, good evening. I want to thank Liverpool for doing this, the job this evening. Arsenal have failed to take into account that they are knocked out of other competitions. So all they had to concentrate on was the Premier League. Kofi from Kaswa. Always, the show is about you. I'm Gary Alsmefento will be back next week. The show is brought to you by Syntex, Tough, and also Hunter's Apple Red Cider from Casa Precon. You take care and good night.